Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm reviewing LEGO Star Wars The Mandalorian set number 75315 Imperial Light Cruiser. This has 1,336 pieces. It's recommended for ages 10 and up, and it retails for $160 in the US. This is the largest Mandalorian set ever made, and it comes with a ton of really awesome exclusive minifigures, so let's jump right in and start looking at them. We'll actually get the non-exclusive figures out of the way first. This is Grogu, or the Child, and the Mandalorian. I'm just lumping these together because I feel like it's easier to look at them together. This is the very nice Beskar armored version of the Mandalorian that appeared earlier this year in the Trouble on Tatooine set. He's got incredible arm printing. He's got the usual gun and the Beskar spear. And then Baby Yoda, he is the same as he's been throughout all of these sets, just using that same city baby body with a different head mold. You can turn that head mold around, but it is rubbery. And I don't like the printing on this guy. I've said it before. I wish they had done something more interesting for his body, like made a new piece without the arms sticking out, since he's always covered by his robe anyway. The Mandalorian does have some back printing. This is that stiffer style of cape, but you can lift that up. He's got no face underneath his helmet though, which I still think is really lame. It's just a plain black minifigure head, and I wish that we could get an actual face print for him by now. The other non-exclusive minifigure in this set is Cara Dune. This is the same figure from the AT-ST Raider set in 2019. And I'm surprised to see her here given what happened with her actress. Now, I don't want any stupid comments about that situation. She deserved to be fired, and she was. And I'm just surprised that the character isn't being kept on with a new actress. I'm really surprised that they're not recasting, and it seemed like toys were not being made of her anymore. So I am surprised to see this figure. It's still a nice figure. I still think, Cara Dune as a character was okay, which is why I kind of wish that they had just recast her. But again, I honestly would have preferred getting Bo-Katan or Boba Fett or Luke Skywalker in this set instead of her, just because, like I said, she's an okay character, but she's really nothing special, so there could have been more interesting figure choices here. This figure is absolutely amazing, though, and is almost worth buying the set just for this figure. This is Fennec Shand, who is played by the amazing Ming-Na Wen in the Mandalorian franchise. I love Ming-Na Wen. I loved her on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I love her as a human being, so I'm really happy to see her finally get a LEGO minifigure, especially one this ridiculously detailed. I mean, look at that incredible arm printing. Let me move her gun a little bit so you can see it a bit better. And even the helmet. The helmet is not dual molded. That is just printed black on orange. But I love that piece. It's fantastic. And I love how you can just see her eyes barely poking through it. I'm hoping that that's showing up well on camera, because from my angle, you can't really see them at all. But I just think that's a perfect rendition of her helmet, and all of the printing on her is fantastic. She's got a pretty nice face print underneath as well, with some scarring on her face. And she does have an alternate face, although it is quite similar. There's a mischievous smile and then just kind of a regular smile. I really would have liked getting a slightly angrier face for her. However, the one thing that this figure is sorely missing is a hairpiece. She desperately needs one. I'm really upset that one wasn't included in the set. I bought this Friends hairpiece off of Bricklink. You guys can look it up for yourself, but I think that this piece works pretty well, and so I really wish LEGO had just included it in the set, because this is what really completes this minifigure for me. This is Moff Gideon. I guess he's the main villain of The Mandalorian, although I use that term pretty loosely since all he does is stand around and talk and try to get Baby Yoda. I've got some issues with how the whole show works out, but I mean, this is a pretty nice minifigure. I think the face print really captures Giancarlo Esposito, the actor. I think it looks a lot like him, actually. The dark saber here is really lame. It's just a black lightsaber bar. I really think LEGO should have made a new mold for that. It deserved one, for sure, and so I'm kind of disappointed to see that that didn't happen. However, what I love about this figure is that double-sided cape. Dark red on the inside, black on the outside, and it is the softer material, not the really stiff cloth. So I'm really, really happy about that. I honestly didn't even know that LEGO could do double-sided capes with the soft cloth. And then if I pop off his hair, you can see his alternate face, which I also love because I always love expressive faces, and this one is definitely expressive. And lastly, we've got one Dark Trooper figure for this set. These guys were pretty cool in the show, and I'm really disappointed that we're only getting one figure here, although it is absolutely incredible. I love that new helmet mold. That chest armor mold is also new for this summer, I believe, but it is used in other sets. However, I do have some gripes. Besides not getting more than one of this figure in this set, I also really hate like the light bluish gray highlights. I think those are supposed to be like negative space because these things are kind of skeletal and very robotic in the show. They're also much taller than normal like Star Wars humans. So I don't like that the negative space has been represented with light bluish gray. I think dark bluish gray would look a lot better. And I also wish that they were taller than regular people because, I mean, they're just like the exact same height as a minifigure. I really feel like something could have been done to like the helmet or the chest armor to like make them taller. I mean, I'm not going to suggest like making a whole new leg mold just for these guys, but I would have liked something. Underneath, you've got a printed minifigure head, so the helmet doesn't actually have any of that red printed in. I really like that. It reminds me a lot of like the mechs from the CMF series, like the non-licensed ones, and you do have like the armor printed onto the torso underneath, and you've even got some back head printing. That's a very nice touch. So the light cruiser is basically just another kind of Star Destroyer type build. I do quite like Star Destroyer type builds. I never like the prices that they're at, but I'll save that for the end of this review. This one is a very different shape though. It's not just like a huge triangle. I've seen people compare this to like a Venator class Star Destroyer, and I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I don't know all like the ship lingo. I'm not concerned with how accurate this is to the show, so that might color my opinions, but I'm just looking at this, you know, as a toy because I wanted an evil bad guy ship. I do love the detailing all over. Again, I like the shapes of Star Destroyers. I like how dagger-like they are. I do have the First Order Star Destroyer, but this is my first time buying one brand new because I got that set used. And the greebling on this is very impressive to me. I wasn't expecting this level of detail in just a regular set. You've even got these little like turrets on the side. These don't actually shoot, but they're just nice for the aesthetics. However, I've heard that this is an inaccuracy. I'm basing that off of I've watched Jang Brix's review and I've read the Brick set review, and it seems like these are not accurate to the actual ship. That doesn't really bother me though, because I like having that little bit of added detail. And then of course up here we've got the turrets that actually do shoot. You can rotate these on turntables, and then of course spring-loaded missiles. Everyone knows how those work by now, so I like that you've got, you know, smaller turrets just for looks, and then you've got these larger ones, and you can also angle these up and down. The detailing continues around the back where things do kind of start to go inwards a little bit. This is where the shape really starts to differ from stuff like the First Order Star Destroyer and even the old Imperial ones. You've got some nice like tile work up here. I also quite like just like this plating on the side of the bridge section. And then you've got a little hanger for a couple of really small TIE fighters. So let me see. Okay, I kind of broke that guy off. But these things are really cute to me. They're like even smaller than polybag builds. They just have one little printed tile in the center, and then they're using these jumper plates as wings. So yeah, I like these things. I mean, obviously this thing is not to scale at all, and so these things are like kind of laughable, but I mean, they're cute. Around the back, you can see the sloping for the bridge section. This kind of looks like something should open up, but it doesn't. And one thing you'll notice is that the set has no handle. There's a reason for that. Usually a handle would pop out from around here, but instead on this set, the entire bridge acts as the handle because there's just a ton of Technic stuff built up in here. And so that's why, you know, you've got like these funky angles. So the idea is that you can grab the set just right from here, or even from like the very top of the bridge. And I'll demonstrate that a little bit better in just a second. But yeah, I kind of have conflicted feelings on it. There are a ton of stickers that actually make up the bridge detailing. I also do not like that. I kind of feel like those should have been prints because there's just so many of those stickers, and it could have just been 3 printed bricks instead. But the reason that I don't like grabbing the set from here is because I just feel like I'm going to break all of this off. And the reason why I feel like that is because it does break off. That irritates me. If you're going to make the bridge a handle, like, I don't want to grab it from here. That feels super unnatural to me. It doesn't feel like a nice place to grab a set this big. I want to be grabbing it from here so I can really get my like palm around it. But then if like where my middle finger is, if that entire section is going to break off, then that's not really helpful for me. So here I've zoomed it out a little bit more so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Like grabbing it from here is okay, But this thing is heavy. Like, I'm not going to hold this up like this forever. I'm not going to fly it around like this because that's just super awkward. I'd have to hold it from the bottom too, and that defeats the whole purpose of a handle. So grabbing it from here, this is okay to fly it around, even though it's still heavy. Like, this works a lot better. But again, if you're going to have pieces start to break off, and again, even though just the front part breaks off, like this entire section back here isn't really going to break, but it all still like lifts up when you're holding it. So again, it doesn't feel good to me. I don't want to hold it from here because I feel like it's going to break. Finishing up around the back of the ship, we do have a couple of like clever wedge pieces. These are actually at a fixed angle. They were kind of hard to put in, but I'm very impressed by that. I thought that they were going to move around, quite honestly. And I love the engines back here. I just love like big cylindrical things in Lego. I'm fascinated by, you know, when you've got like large smooth areas in Lego because everything is usually so studded. I really love these smaller like arch or like macaroni pieces that Lego's been using lately, and they just frame the engines very well. I think that they look great. And then around the back, you do have like these three like engine glows. However, I've heard that this is also inaccurate. Even though you've got a lot of great detailing in here, I think that there are supposed to be multiple engines like in between the three larger ones. So if that inaccuracy is true, then I do think it's disappointing. Up at the front, the entire ship comes together into like this, again, like dagger-like form. And there is a play feature back here. You'll notice a little Technic plunger. That's because you can actually take a TIE fighter and you can slide it along the rails. If I can like get this to fit in. Okay, clearly I'm bad at setting up play features, but you can dock a TIE fighter right there, and there's actually a button on the inside that will let you launch it from like these front mandible bits. So I'm just gonna open this up really quickly so I can show that to you guys. And that's how that works. It just slides out along these rails, but I don't really like this play feature. I don't think it adds anything to the set at all. You're just firing like a tiny little TIE fighter that can't even do anything, and it can only be accessed from inside the ship, which I think is kind of lame. I'm sure it'll go further if I actually put some effort into shooting it, but I mean, what is shooting a TIE fighter this size out going to do against a minifigure that's this size? But now it's interior time, so let's go ahead and open this entire section up. You do have these large flaps. They aren't in fixed positions. They're just on like bars and clips. But this entire section does stay up pretty well. Unfortunately, if you try like doing a barrel roll with this thing and turn it upside down, which I've done several times already, this entire flap will just swing open. It's not too hard to remember not to do that, but I do kind of wish that you could lock it into place. And inside, you've got kind of a disappointing interior, in my opinion. There is some open space to position minifigures, but it can be difficult to place them in such a way that the roof doesn't like collapse on their heads, which I'll show in just a second. But you've got a couple of crates back here. In this one, you've got a thermal detonator, which is a printed tile that I didn't mean to drop. But you do have that print, nothing new, but I mean, it's still nice to get anything in the crates. I always like it when there's actually stuff in these things. And in this one, you've just got a pair of these like Star Wars space binoculars. At the back, we've got a couple of stickered consoles, as well as a place to hold an extra spring-loaded missile. Very happy to see that. And then you've got some more consoles along the side. Again, those are just stickers. Got another one over there, and then you've got the large conference table in the middle, which is actually a great build. I really like the way that that looks. I love like the Imperial aesthetic in Lego Star Wars, or I mean just in Star Wars in general, with like the black and the white color schemes. So I think that that's pretty cool. However, the entire interior just seems really, really unfinished to me, like even more so than a regular Star Destroyer. I'm not usually one to complain about like Technic holes and blue pins and stuff showing through, but in this case, it does really irritate me. It irritates me that Lego's trying to have usable space with a console right here when you've got all of this ugly Technic stuff right next to it. Like, put an effort into covering this stuff up then. I also think it looks super strange how all of this is studded over while there's smooth pieces back here. I mean, either continue the smooth parts or just leave it off. That's not the solution in my opinion, leaving them off. I think that the smoothness should have been continued all the way to the front because again, it just looks kind of messy and unfinished to me. Positioning minifigures also kind of irritates me because they have to be in such a specific position because of the way that like the roof wedge works. If I try shutting it right now, well, obviously it's not going to close because of the Mandalorian spear. So let me just take that off. But even if I try closing it now, you can see this thing is not shutting at all. There's still like major gaps because it's just hitting like the heads of these figures. That is like unacceptable to me. I do not want to have to spend 10 minutes posing minifigures around the interior to avoid like bumps on the roof. That's just stupid. Like, I mean, how hard could it have been to just raise like the walls up by like a couple of bricks? I don't know. I feel like there are better solutions than this, because on past Star Destroyers, head clearance hasn't been a huge issue, but it is on this one. Like you have to spend so much time like arranging the minifigures. It's just really annoying to me. I'd rather just knock them all down and then have it close instead of trying to waste all that time trying to get them to stand up in there. And looking at the bottom of the ship, I'm trying not to open this too much so that the lid doesn't open, but you've got, you know, like a major flat section, and then you've got these like kind of studs down sections at the front and at the back as well. I really like that. I think that this thing actually looks really cool when it's upside down. Can I balance it like this? No, I think it's gonna fall and break. But yeah, I think that the shape like looks even cooler when it's upside down. Well, that pretty much does it for this build, so here's one last look at the entire thing before we wrap up this review. Here are the extra pieces, and here's the box for this set, one of those typical kind of like $100, $120 box sizes. Yeah, I think it's like $120. It's not like the $100 box size. We've got the nice art of the Mandalorian in the corner, and then around the back, it shows off the set's functions and a slightly small interior. Here's the instruction manual for this set. It is quite large, and at the back, we've got the typical Star Wars ads, which I'm sure you guys are sick of seeing by now. All the Mandalorian sets, except like the Razor Crest and the ATST. All of the minifigures for August 2021, and then an ad for the Skywalker Saga game, which might actually be coming out since I think a new look was just released. So by now, I'm sure you guys can kind of tell how I'm feeling about this set. Like a lot of Star Wars sets, it's overpriced and just not very good, even though it's really, really cool. And that's my issue with something like this, is I love Star Destroyer type builds, and I never buy them because I always like wait for them to go on sale, and then like 2 years later, I end up buying them used. Like that's what I did with the First Order Star Destroyer, and that wasn't satisfying to me. So I decided to splurge, and I got this the day it came out at $160, even though I knew that I would much rather pay like $120 or $130 for this set. And I would definitely recommend that you guys do not pay $160 for this. That is absolutely freaking ridiculous. For 1,300 pieces, 5 minifigures, and an interior this tiny, it's just a bad price. Do not pay it. All this thing can do, besides barely fit a couple of minifigures in a small interior, is it can shoot off a couple of spring-loaded missiles from right there, and it can shoot off a mini like micro-scale TIE fighter from the front. Which also, let's point out that if you have the plunger out, like if you've got it loaded up for a play feature, that shrinks the space available in the interior even more, which is, again, annoying. This flap is also annoying. I know I've said it many times, but okay, I just broke everything. That was a huge mistake. But this flap is annoying. It's so heavy, and it just wants to crash down on everything all the time. And it's like, there can't be like a mechanism to lock it, like just something really easily that would stop it from like flopping around whenever I want to like move this set. I don't know. It's like, I really love the exterior of this set, and that's all I've been focusing on because I haven't been opening it. But now that I'm opening it for the review, all I can do is complain about it because I just don't think it's good, especially not for that price. I don't like micro scale mixing with minifigure scale. I mean, if you're going to have a function, one of your only functions in the set is launching out a mini TIE fighter, give me a mini Slave 1 to battle it. What good is a mini TIE fighter when I have actual size minifigures? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry for ranting about it. I feel like I'm just ranting at this point, but I think that this set has a lot of issues, and I haven't even gotten into the fact that we only have 1 Dark Trooper and Fennec Shand doesn't have a hairpiece. Both of those things are inexcusable in my opinion. A set like this should easily have 2 to 3 Dark Troopers, and Fennec Shand should absolutely have a hairpiece. Even if it was like a regular ponytail piece and not this like Friends one that I got for her, she should have a hairpiece. So yeah, I'm just not happy with like Lego Star Wars with their prices, because even when the sets are like okay, they're never okay for the absolutely ridiculous prices that they're sold at. So definitely wait for a sale on this or buy it without figures, because I think it's a great build on the exterior, but a horrible build on the interior, and the figures could be a lot better. That's it for today. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and check out my website, goldenninja3000.com, and I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.